"fourscore and 7 years ago."
That line is one of the most recognized in American history, and the man who said it is one of the greatest ever. Abraham Lincoln was a man with great compassion and a dream for justice and liberty for all.
Our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation.
And where are you from?
Well, my name is Trent Burton, and where I'm from, I am from Jasper, Alabama, a little small town north of the state.
And what do you know about the symbolism of this memorial?
Well, I don't know much about the Lincoln Memorial, but the symbolism to me, it represents a lot of power. I think this symbolizes a lot of power to our nation just by the way it is, and it's dominant, it's commanding, it puts fear, intimidation in other countries, anybody that stands against us.
Okay, so the Lincoln Memorial was modeled after the Parthenon in Greece. Why do you think it was modeled after the Parthenon?
Well, to me, the Greeks, that's where we adopted the democracy style of government, was from the Greeks. So I think there's no better country to model it after than the Greeks themselves. So,
why do you think the Gettysburg Address and Second Inaugural Address are speeches carved in the walls?
Well, those are two of some of the most important speeches ever. One kept our nation from tearing themselves together, and the other was for one of the greatest presidents that ever lived, possibly.
Thank you. Why do you think the memorial is located here, of all places?
Well, I think whoever did this was OCD with their geometry here, but I think it's here because of the star and the Capitol building. It just fits really well. It's right behind Washington. He was another good president. Just sort of like Lincoln looking over everything, I guess you would say.
Thank you.
Lincoln was born on February 12th, 1809, in a one-room log cabin in Hardin County, Kentucky. His family moved to southern Indiana in 1816. Lincoln's formal schooling was limited to 3 brief periods in local schools, as he had to work constantly to support his family. In 1830, his family moved to Macon County in southern Illinois. Lincoln became involved in local politics as a supporter of the Whig Party, winning elections to the Illinois state legislature in 1834. Lincoln opposed the spread of slavery to the territories and had a grand vision of expanding the United States with a focus on commerce and cities rather than agriculture.
Conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
Abraham Lincoln was incredibly important in the success of the Union and the freeing of the slaves. He was the president at the time, and his role in the Civil War was pivotal. He kept the Union alive. Without a leader like him, many battles could have been lost, forcing the United States of America into slavery forever. By the time Lincoln was inaugurated in March 1861, 7 southern states had seceded from the Union and formed the Confederate States of America. He surprised many by proving to be more than a capable wartime leader, learning quickly about strategy and tactics in the early years of the Civil War, and about choosing the ablest commanders. Carved into the walls of Lincoln's great memorial are 2 of his many speeches, the Gettysburg Address and his second inaugural address. His greatest speeches, internally carved into marble. His inspiring, thought-provoking words gave his nation and soldiers hope. He gave the Gettysburg Address November 19, 1863, at a cemetery for Union soldiers killed at the Battle of Gettysburg. He gave his second inaugural address on March 4, 1865. Weeks of wet weather preceding Lincoln's second inauguration had caused Pennsylvania Avenue to become a sea of mud. Thousands of spectators stood in thick mud at the Capitol grounds to hear the president. As he stood to take the executive oath, the completed Capitol dome over the president's head was a physical reminder of the resolve of his administration throughout the years of the Civil War. But this great man had a sad ending. On April 14th, 1865, at Ford's Theater, while watching the comedy My American Cousin, he was shot in the head by John Wilkes Booth, a Confederate sympathizer who hated Lincoln for freeing the slaves. The gunshot was drowned out to the rest of the audience by laughter. Lincoln's wife screamed, alerting them, and Booth jumped from the balcony and ran, stopping only to scream the Virginia state motto, Sic semper tyrannis, thus always to tyrants. The next morning, at 7:22, the 16th President of the United States of America was pronounced dead. The manhunt began. After multiple days of attempting to track Booth, he was found at a barn in Virginia. After multiple offers to come out peacefully, the barn was set on fire, burning Booth to death. Afterwards, John Wilkes Booth, the killer of Abraham Lincoln, was pronounced dead. Later, the government decided that Lincoln needed to be remembered, otherwise the president that saved the Union. But being dedicated is exactly what was done. However, while building this honor for this amazing man, there were struggles. The most important was that World War I began, and men had to leave to fight. Work slowed substantially, but didn't stop. Work never stopped. These workers knew that this memorial must be made to honor Lincoln. The memorial itself is modeled after the Athena Parthenos, which stands in Athens, Greece, the birthplace of democracy, which is extremely fitting. With 36 marble columns to represent the 36 states that Lincoln reunited, the exterior of the Lincoln Memorial is an impressive sight. There are also Roman fasces to represent power and the right to use power of the people, but with fairness and perseverance, not tyranny. The memorial is directly in line with the Capitol, with the reflecting pool in between. MLK gave his I Have a Dream speech here, at the memorial site of a man who fought so hard to end slavery and oppose it with all his might. Surrounding the great memorial for an amazing man, there are a great many myths. The most common involves the back of Lincoln's head. Some people believe that Robert E. Lee's face is carved into the back of Lincoln's head, looking toward his home in Virginia. Others believe it is the sculptor's head, carved as a final signature. Both of these are untrue, according to the National Park Service. It depends on how the viewer sees Lincoln's hair and the angle of light. Another myth is that Lincoln's hands are showing the signs for A and L in sign language. According to the NPS, this is also false. It is simply to show his balance of peace and authority. His hands are clenched and relaxed. A third myth is that there is a misspelled word in the inaugural address. This is partially true. This is the only one of the myths. This is partially true. The sculptor carved an E where he should have carved an F, but it was later fixed. This is the only one of the myths that is true, but it is only partially true. Through all the sadness and pain, through construction workers and sculptors, through soldiers and generals, through visitors to the memorial and the man who it is entitled, one of the greatest presidents ever will be set in stone. Rest in peace, Abraham Lincoln, 16th President of the United States of America.